This is a really special County Crimes. Although shot in the height of summer, I consider it to be my Christmas special. My brother James, probably the best of us, though I loathe to admit it, he came over here from his travels in New Zealand and Australia. And we were all so overjoyed to see him, and I was fortunate enough to see him twice. This is what happened the second time I saw him. I rang him up one afternoon and asked him to pop over and then we could go to Bodium Castle to do some filming for my County Crimes there. We had an awesome time. It was, and I don't use those words that often. Beautiful castle, historic outing, and great company. And to top it all off, I composed some really great dialogue for us to create a fantastic documentary with. Add to the brilliance, we had some excellent outtakes of James and I having a laugh at the end of the documentary. Watch out for them. We had some dinner at my mum's afterwards. I almost hate to post this now because it's not going to be, I'm not going to be able to surprise anyone anymore. But it's Christmas and all that. So have a merry one. The Baxters, the Youngs, the Hakatas, the Emses, the Gardeners and the villagers, they can all revel in the fact that James Andrew Baxter and his wonderful girl Kim Gardner are still actually here with us this Christmas season and into the new year. I hope it's a good one, and that he comes home soon. Troops stomped, a spluttering of squelching determination, towards the keepless bridge of Bodium Castle. In November 1483, the besieging of Thomas Lucknor's castle took place. Lucknor was in direct opposition to the House of York. As Thomas cast an eye of pessimism out of an arched window, he reflected on all that he had lost to the Lancastrian cause to bring him to this. The mighty forces drew their weapons to attack. Sir Thomas Lucknor felt a shiver of overwhelming resentment towards his uncle, Sir Thomas Howard, Earl of Surrey, who was at the head of a siege of royal arms. Looking out of one of the Norman-esque turrets that encircled the fortress, Thomas realised that surrender was his only option. Trusting to the mercy of the victors that represented the new Yorkist state, a state that would undergo devastating changes in the next 3 years and take Bodium Castle with it. In 1377, fractures ground through Britain at an alarming rate. The growing divide was Angevin in nature, and the 100 Years' War was already in progress between England and France.
The conflict had already gone on for 50 years when Edward III gave Edward Dalingbridge the manor of Bodium in East Sussex. For the next half dozen years, the reputation of Sir Edward held sway amongst the nobility, even after Richard II came to the throne. In 1385, Dalingbridge was licensed to extend his meagre property and build a castle estate on his land in preparation for a French invasion that never came. Quadra in construction, boasting crenellated outer battlements, Bodium Castle was so well fortified it didn't even need a keep. Norman technology that was so efficient compared to the Saxon. Overconfidence was their greatest weakness, especially after the disaster that was Magna Carta.
In September 1399, Richard met his end through the machinations of Henry Bolingbroke at Pontefract Castle. Another shift of vertical alienation took place. The claim to the crown was now divided, the Yorkists and the Lancastrians, and again Bodium found itself a splinter shaved off the side of that conflict. Through his marriage to Edward Dalingbridge's granddaughter, Sir Thomas Lucknor inherited the castle by 1470. By 1484, most Lancastrians had either fled to Wales or were keeping themselves to themselves. Lucknor found himself under arrest for high treason, and a royal force was sent to sack the castle, where it once defended the country against the enemies. The sandstone walls now defended itself against the country. Though the castle was not given back to Thomas Lucknor until after Henry VII faced Richard III at Bosworth Field, it wasn't until the ownership had passed to Thomas's son that it was fully restored to the family. It was in 1542 that Roger Lucknor was at a loss of how to manage the lands in the same fashion as his father. After the castle passed through the ownership of so many, the grounds were tempered and secured and then hope drained. Nearby sandstone was used to make repairs of turrets that are so distinctive to Bodium. Though it was when John Tutton bought the fort in 1639 that the fashion for outdoor pursuits was not far off. This trend had come in from France.
With the Normans, the nation that was once so feared for its intrusion into the British Isles was now being revered for its social aesthetics.
Now 1643, Parliament took it upon themselves to confiscate what was once the country's defence, instigated at royal request. Because of John Tutton's royalist sympathies and his recent defeat at Lewes, he was also fined £9,000 as well as having his home snatched away.
To alleviate some of the financial burden, in 1664 the owner, Tutton, sold the place for a pittance. Bodium became the property of Nathaniel Power. The fractures in the social fabric were now beginning to seem like ribs. Bodium continued to be torn right down the middle.
And the estate eventually ended up with Nathaniel's daughter-in-law, Elizabeth Chipstow. Now 1722, it was the start of the architectural Renaissance proper. It was thus a perfect time to create new facets of public inspiration for the future. The great green glamour of Bodium Castle meant this a prime location in which to showcase his philosophy. The gardens and moat were once again restored and drained, and Sir Thomas Webster had instigated and orchestrated this Gothic revival, having purchased the castle in that year. It was in 1829 that John Fuller bought the property and continued with renovations. He created a new driveway, gravelling it in the process, removing a gatehouse that had passed repair. In 1849, George Cubitt took Bodium's reins and later had a long drawn-out bidding war with Lord Curzon, who also wanted the property. In the end, it was sold to the aristocrat by Cubitt's son when he inherited it. No longer would an individual utilise the castle in wars for control of the country, but instead in battles for personal gain. Now in the hands of the National Trust, Bodium represents the possibilities that can ascend from the deepest of devastating changes. In the penultimate episode of this series, I look at the fractured social stigma that has evolved around Hampton Court and how its developing opulence has shaped the evolution of our leisure industry.
Fuck. I might wait for these people. Beginning to seem like ribs. Bodium continued to be...
Nearby sandstone was used to make repairs to the turrets, and so distinctive to Bodium. And I should do that again. The mighty forces drew their weapons to attack. If I go up here like this, and I go that, Sir Thomas Longwell had mighty forces, and it was like... Do you think it's bad?
Yeah, maybe a bit more height.
A height? Do you think a height would work? Devastating changes in the next 3 years and take Bodium Castle with it.
Nice, cool.
I'm not sure about the side mount thing though. With it.
When the tower is within your hands. The conflict had already gone on for 50 years when Edward III gave Edward Dallingridge the manor of Bodium in East Sussex. For the next half dozen years, the reputation of Sir Edward held sway amongst the nobility, even after Richard III's... Richard II! Richard II!
Terrible.